home visiting is a great opportunity to know the families and to know the children's history, and that information could be useful in the classroom. Definitely, it helps build the relationship with the parents. It helps because they feel valued. They feel that you as the teacher value what they think is important for their children.
Home visits seem more personable. You feel like a connection. Even on the first day of school, you've already been to their home, you've already been in a more intimate setting.
So when I started home visiting, I wasn't a family worker. I wasn't experienced in home visiting. This was a new school a preschool that I was a teacher in. I was hired, and this was part of their culture.
Well, as a preschool teacher, I had the opportunity to do some home visiting with the school that I was currently working with. Basically, parents would sign up and we would go to visit them at their homes.
Okay, so I did home visits as a teacher. We would go a couple of days before the school year started, spend a day, a half hour in each family's home.
At first, when we first started it, the parents were a little hesitant to have the teachers come into their home. I think they kind of thought we were gonna, judge them or be a little judgmental of, their home life and things like that. But as we started doing them, they were super receptive to it. They liked the idea.
The way that they presented it to me at the time was that this is a way for you to get to know the family and get to know the child. And it was simple as that.
So we went as a team, and we would bring we would introduce ourselves to the new families, and we would bring a little craft, a dollar picture frame from the store with some jewels, and we would sit with the children and the families and have the children decorate the frame, and then we would take a picture of the whole family together, and then when the child came the first day of school at their eye level, we would have their picture of their family from the home visit we went on in the frame that they created when we were at their home.
Depending on the child, right before September, we did a transition into kindergarten. We read a book, Welcome to Kindergarten, that just helped them with their feelings, the anxiety, and help them kind of understand that everybody's going to be feeling the same way. Just kind of deal with the transition, the adjustment into kindergarten, and the fear and the anxiety that the children have. On other home visits with like the toddlers, we do lots of fine motor activities, learning activities, and kind of work hand in hand with the parents, just teaching them how to teach through play.
So we had already started school at the time I had my home visits. So I'd been with the children for a few weeks. There was one child that whose home I went to. He was so shy in school. He didn't really talk a lot. He wasn't super social with the other kids. But as soon as I walked into his home, he was like dragging me around his house and showing me his playroom and his trains and sitting down and playing with me. And he just was obviously in his element and his comfort zone. Was home for him, and so that really helped me in knowing more about him and allowed me to start creating a classroom environment that would be something that would make him just as comfortable to be at, so he could really thrive.
The children would constantly remember that I went to their house. I think, but even before that, the transition to preschool, although some children, it was their first experience and there were some tears at the beginning of the school year, I think that it made the transition a little bit easier for the children and even for the parents. They got an opportunity to meet the teachers before they came into the classroom. We were able to, answer any questions or any concerns and get to know the child a little bit better. But as the year progressed, I really saw the big impact that it had with the families. It's almost like, they were our family. And for the children, even till the last days of school, they would say, "Remember when you came to my house?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I came to your house." And I think they just it gave the child a sense of pride knowing that, you know, their teacher actually went to visit them before, you know, at their most comfortable place, which is their home.
It was very different than I had expected. I had thought that it would probably be a little awkward and uncomfortable, but the parents were also warm and receptive, and they genuinely seemed happy that we were there. Getting to see the children in their own environment was so different than seeing them as they are in the classroom or even at like a social gathering before school starts. We often have what's called an ice cream social at our school, and they're just very different in their own home environment. So it was really interesting to see that side of them and to get to know them in their natural habitat.
It's important to know the family's background, such as language and likes and dislikes of the child and the family. And it was important to incorporate everything into the classroom.
At first they were very quiet, but then they, once we sat down with them and their family and started talking and we gave them the project, they became very interested. And then on the first day of school, when they would see those pictures, something changed. They were a little more comfortable, a little less separation anxiety.
We brought with us learning activities to help them learn how to play and interact with their children better. And so once we got it rolling, they were very much receptive to it, and they even at times were asking for extra home visits. The lines of communication are a lot more open now. They're more receptive to ideas, and we communicate much better now.
Some of the challenges I faced were basically getting past my own mindset on home visiting. The thought of it sort of, what's the right word? The thought of it kind of overwhelmed me a little bit, just wondering what it would be like to be in somebody else's home who I didn't know. How would the parents react to me? How would the kids react to me? So because it was foreign, I felt a little nervous about it. And so just wrapping my head around that, I think, was one of the biggest challenges.
One of the challenges that I do remember is scheduling, making sure that when you do set up your home visiting appointments, you try to cluster families where they live and kind of offer them a window of time that you can see them, you know.
A tip for someone who is going to start home visitation is to go in to the situation with just a really open mind. Try to see it as an opportunity to get to know the family, to get to know that child, and see it less as something that you're going to be intrusive or invading on them, because most of the people who do sign up for these, they do it because they actually really want you to come. Home visits are optional. They're not something that a parent has to do. So if they are willing to have you into their home, it means that they genuinely want you there. So that should help set your mind at ease.
If somebody's going to do home visits, first of all, they should develop a policy. In my case, we never went alone. We went in group of 2 or 3 people, and because we also wanted the whole school to be part of the family.
You have to build up that rapport with the parents and show that you care. I think something else that kind of helped, I remember specifically that year, where I did see a big difference, was that we also made it a point to call them a month after the visit, you know, well, after we started the class, just to let them know how their child was doing. I think it helped when it came time to maybe share something that was not so easy and difficult. It kind of let them know that, yeah, they care about us, because they took the time out, you know, not only to visit us, but they took the time out to call us when they didn't have to. And some of the parents would say that. They said, wow, you actually took the time out to visit us. They appreciated that. And I think that it builds trust from the beginning, and it allows, not only does it make it easier for us to share anything we might need to share, but it makes it easier for the parents to share any concerns that they have.
The main thing is just to communicate with the parents, make them comfortable, make them understand what the home visit is about, so that they're more open to it and they're not hesitant.
Having the mindset that this is a chance for me to get to know the child. This is a chance for me to get to know the parents. You don't go in judging. You don't go in. You don't. And it's not a long time that you have to spend with them. 15 minutes. It's all you need, and 15 minutes can make the difference. It speaks volume. Just you being there. I think just the fact that you're there, and shows that you care. And so I think just understanding, if you understand that, and that it's you're there to connect, then I think that's that's a great mindset to have going in.
So I have a 16-month-old daughter who is attending a PCA-NJ Kids program that is going to be beginning to implement home visits this year, and I'm super excited for them to start that process. I've noticed she's been there since she was 12 weeks old when I had to go back to work after maternity leave. And while they're an amazing program, and I know that they care so much for my daughter, I find that there's very little time to really, as the parent, connect with the teachers. It's about getting her in the door, making sure they know what time she ate and the last time she had her diaper changed, and making sure her coat is hung up, and I have to leave for work. When I pick her up at the end of the day, sometimes the head teacher is not there anymore because it's later in the day, and the assistants or different floaters are in the room. So there's very few opportunities I get to sit one-on-one with her teacher, and I have so many questions that I want to ask. So I'm really excited for them to begin home visits because I have this running list in my mind of things I want to know about my daughter and how she is developing and is interacting with other children in school. The other reason I'm really excited for them to begin home visits is that my daughter absolutely loves her school and loves her teachers, and I think she would be so happy to see Miss Jessica and Miss Bo come into our house and see where she lives, and I know that it would just help to create an even stronger bond between her and myself and my husband and the school. I said I have a running list of questions in my mind of things that I want to ask. My daughter's an only child, so I rarely get to see her interacting with other kids, and I want to kind of pick their brain and know, what is she like with other kids? Is she kind? Is she caring? Is she empathetic? Does she share her toys? Because I don't get to see those kinds of things on a daily basis when we're at home with her. I'd love to know more about what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, so maybe they could share some of their lesson plans with me or their curriculum, and maybe things that I could do to support at home. They use Teaching Strategies Gold, and I just got their report card, her report card the other day, and I'd love to talk to them more about that, about her emerging skills, and what we're going to start seeing next in terms of her development. We did the Ages and Stages questionnaire a couple months ago, and I'd love their feedback on that as well. So there's so many things questions that I've kind of been keeping on a list that I'd love to have the opportunity to talk about during a home visit.